Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for a poetry discussion. A poetry discussion which will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion playlist. Number two being a playlist for poems by Rainier Maria Rilke. So the poem in question today is Archaic Torso of Apollo. Now, I am far from a Rilke scholar, but from what I know, this is either his first or second most famous poem, in contrast with The Panther. So take that for what it's worth. Maybe it's worth nothing. Perhaps I am completely wrong. The poem in question reads as such: We cannot know his legendary head with eyes like ripening fruit, and yet his torso is still suffused with brilliance from inside like a lamp, in which his gaze, now turned to low, gleams in all its power. Otherwise the curved breast could not dazzle you so, nor could a smile run through the placid hips and thighs to that dark center where procreation flared. Otherwise this stone would seem defaced beneath the translucent cascade of the shoulders, and would not glisten like a wild beast's fur, would not, from all the borders of itself, burst like a star. For here there is no place that does not see you. You must change your life. A bit of a strange place to end, admittedly. A little bit weird there, but this is apparently the statue in question. Now, probably this is a statue that is not simply a victim of the weathering of time. This is, this here, right there, looks like a sword mark to me. Missing the genitals is something that was done to statues at one point in time because of religiosity more than anything. The that does not that looks clean heaved off. These limbs up top do not look to be the misfortunes of an epoch. But when we look at this statue, do we feel the same way as Rilke? Do we understand that wherever this head is, it must have been beautiful? What do we see when we look at the remnants of this statue? It is still ripe, if you will, with some type of power. It is, in my opinion, still dynamic. So, it may be a contrapposto pose slightly. What that means is I don't think there's any room for it to be contrapposto. Contrapposto is where the hips and the shoulders are sort of angled the same way or opposite ways. I can't remember exactly how to say it, but it is something that is. It was a technique for statues that made them look as if they were coming to life actually, right? One of these weird small things that you can do to make something look even more human, and we don't really immediately pick up on why we think it's more human, just that sort of it is, right? For me, in literature, one of the ways that you can make someone more human is to tell a lie. It's an interesting thing, but we know humans do it, and NPCs probably don't. When we go back to the poem, we cannot know his legendary head with eyes like ripening fruit, and yet his torso is still suffused with brilliance from the inside like a lamp in which his gaze, now turned low, gleams in all its power. There is a subtle sexuality to this poem without even seeing the statue itself. This is obviously a very appealing physique here, right? We can only imagine the head that was attached, the top head that was attached. And do you have any choice but to assume that that face was attractive as well? It's strange the way that these things work, isn't it? If you were to imagine a face for this body, what would it look like? Probably it would be whatever would constitute an attractive male face to you. Otherwise, the curved breast could not dazzle you so, nor run a smile through the placid hips and thighs to that dark center where procreation flared. Dark center where procreation flared, right? So we're making okay. Curved breast, placid hips and thighs. Curved breast points right down towards the place where procreation flared. Placid hips and thighs, we're just making a box around that place where procreation flared. Otherwise, this stone would seem defaced beneath the translucent cascade of the shoulders and would not glisten like a wild beast's fur. Essentially, what we're saying, in my opinion, if I'm reading this correctly, what we are getting from that there is that what we have left is so good, is so appealing, is so attractive. What we have left, yeah, we might not have the best parts, maybe this, depending on what you're looking for. Though we don't have the best parts, it still is, though we don't have the best parts, what remains is good enough to seem whole. The part of these things that remains would seem defaced if not for what we have. So what we have is good enough to make this seem like, hey, baby, nothing's ever wrong. This is as it should be, and we have nearly a whole statue here. Would not from the borders of itself burst like a star, for here there is no place that does not see you. You must change your life. Now, it's a bit moralizing at the end, for sure. But I think that the lesson there is that this statue is maybe a little more than half a person, right? All that's left of this statue is a little more than half a person. And it's still good enough. What we have here is less than what would pass for human, right? In that we don't have anything identifiable. If you were to come across this laying on the side of the road in flesh and blood form, you would be aghast, but you would have no idea who it was, who it had been in life. It's not in life. It is a statue. That statue, despite the fact that time and malice have hacked away half-ish of this thing, still good enough. Will you stand up to that test? Will you be good enough after all things have passed? Will you be worthy of being known when so many parts of you have fallen away? Will you, like Apollo here, have lived so long? Probably the answer is no. That's what Rilke is sort of insinuating there. Rilke is saying, look, you're not going to last this long. You're not going to be in such good shape after so long. Will people still talk of you? Will people still spread the word of you? There is this idea that is very prevalent. You die two deaths. You die the day you take your last breath. But you really die the moment no one says your name anymore. The last time your name escapes someone's lips. That is the true death. Here we have Apollo, hacked away by malice, fallen away by time, still very worthy. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what I do on the channel, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to. Share this video with other literature lovers, and if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more literary goodness. There's poetry on the channel every Monday, and there's more stuff than that as well. And I hope to have you back for the next one.